have already studied the development of GIT, right? So now we have the development of urogenital system. So what are the structures which helps or which are the source for the formation of urogenital system? So first of all, you have intermediate mesoderm and then cloaca. So the cloaca is not new for us because we remember in GIT also, in the lower part of GIT, the cloaca will divide into anorectal canal and it will help in formation of rectum and anal canal. Okay, and the half of the part which we did not study that time, that is urogenital sinus. So it will form the remaining part. So like this, we will see one by one. First of all, we have the intermediate mesoderm. So this is the developing embryo. Okay, can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the structure of the developing embryo, in which you can see this is the developing vertebral column. Okay, which is from the cervical to sacral region. So on each side of this, you have the formation of intermediate mesoderm. Okay, so this intermediate mesoderm will give rise to paramesonephric duct, this one with the pink color. This is paramesonephric duct. And after that, there is another structure with this color. This is called as urogenital ridge. Finally, you can see the urogenital ridge has been divided into two parts. The medial one, it is called as genital ridge, and the lateral one, it is called as nephrogenic cord. Okay. So here you can see it is extending from cervical to sacral region. Okay. Now you can think that the kidney is not present in the cervical region, thoracic region. Okay. It is in the pelvic region. So why the development is starting from here? Okay. So when you will see the development of kidney, you will find why it will start from here. So easy this slide, inshallah. First, you should know intermediate mesoderm, which will divide into paramesonephric duct, then urogenital ridge. The urogenital ridge again will give rise to genital ridge and nephrogenic cord. Now, what will happen next? So, next you will find what happens to this structure. So, first you will see it will be helpful in development of kidneys. So in the kidney also, you have two parts. One is the part which is excretory, okay, which will include the excretory tubules, nephrons, and another is the collecting part. So collecting part will develop from the ureteric bud, okay, and the excretory tubules and nephrons, they will develop from the nephrogenic cord. Okay, so first of all, this slide is very important. Just try to memorize what are the structures here, the meson. So what structures will be formed by this, you will see slowly. So now you know that excretory tubules and nephron will develop from the metanephros and collecting part will develop from the ureteric bud or mesonephric duct. So now the development of kidney will occur in three successive stages. Means the first stage will come and go. Then second stage will come, then go. Then the third stage, which is the final stage, it will be there, and this is called as the final human kidney. So we have three stages, and these stages they will develop caudal to each other. So first we have the pronephros, mesonephros, metanephros. Okay, so here you can see this is the cloaca, which is going to form the urinary bladder, and you can see this is the mesonephric tubules, how it is connected with this. Okay, and this, the upper part, it is the pronephros. So slowly it will also degenerate, The mesonephros, it will also degenerate. Only the metanephros will be remaining and it will form the our kidney. So next we have the pronephros. What happens to the pronephros? It will start at the beginning. Maybe you can say at the end of third and beginning of the fourth week. Okay. And it will be present in which region? Cervical region. Its function, it is not proved. In the fish, in the lower animals like fish, you will find this type of kidney. Then mesonephros. So as soon as the pronephros degenerate, the mesonephros will appear. It will appear in the early of the fourth week. And it will be present in the thoracic and upper lumbar region. It will do the temporary function in the fetus. It will, when the baby is in the uterus, in the womb, it will do some temporary function, and this type of kidneys are present in the amphibians. Metanephros will develop in the early fifth week in the sacral region, and it is permanent human kidney. So now you know that why this nephrogenic cord was present from the cervical to the sacral region, because in the developmental stage, the pronephros will be present in the cervical region. Then mesonephros will develop in the thoracic and upper lumbar region, and the metanephros in the sacral region. So it is caudal to each other. What happens to the pronephros? So this is the mesoderm of this cord. It is where it is opposite to the cervical region. What will happen? This part will go into segmentation. Okay, there will be formation of the segments. And this segmentation will give rise to 7 to 10 nephratomes. These nephratomes will get vesicles. Okay, vesicles means there will be formation of the lumen. So here you can see like this. This is pronephric tubules. These tubules will have two ends, lateral end and medial end. So the lateral end will fuse with each other to form the pronephric duct. The medial end will open into intraembryonic coelom. Okay, so here you can see this part, okay? So this is the upper part in the cervical region. Okay, this is the upper part or cervical region. So here you can see these are the pronephric tubules. Okay, this is the this is the medial end and this is the lateral end. So you can see the lateral end, how it is opening into the this one, the lateral end, which will be fused and form the pronephric duct, but the medial end it will open into intraembryonic coelom like this. This is the medial end of the tubules which is opening into intraembryonic coelom. And now this is the pronephric tubules. Now, when this part is developing, this part also will get some branches from the dorsal aorta. Okay, because we know the renal artery is also a branch from the aorta. So when in the development stage also, this structures have started to getting the blood supply by the dorsal aorta. So what will happen? Its fate, it will degenerate. Okay, the coelomic cavity, the external renal corpuscles, and the tubules will form the internal renal corpuscles. It is the kidney which is present in the fish, and in human being or in the other animals, it will be degenerated. So now, as soon as it will disappear or degenerate, mesonephric or mesonephros will appear in the thoracic and upper lumbar region. Okay, there is also group of cells. There will not be any segmentation. Okay, there will not be segmentation, as we saw that it will form the nephrotome. No, there is no formation of the nephrotome. Okay, so this mesonephric tubule also will have two ends, lateral end and medial end. So what will happen? The lateral end will join to form the mesonephric duct, but the medial end, it is invaginated by the capillaries, okay, to form the renal corpuscles. So next, in the next slide, we can see nicely, okay. So this is the cervical region, and now this is the thoracic and upper lumbar region, where you can see this mesonephric tubules have appeared. Okay, this is the medial end, and this is the lateral end. So all these tubules, they are joining with each other to form here the mesonephric duct, like this. Okay, so what happens to these tubules? So most of them, the tubules will disappear. What happens to this mesonephric duct? Okay, so you can see that this is the mesonephric duct, which will be helpful for us in formation of the some of the structures. Okay, so you can see, what is this? This is the testes. This is because this will form not only the urinary system and also the genital system, urogenital system. So maybe the genital system you have already studied in the life cycle, so we will not go in detail, but we can see here the mesonephric tubules, okay, which are remaining. It will form this structure that is called as vasa efferentia. Okay, if you remember the vasa efferentia, it will be connecting the testes with the epididymis, or the small tubules of the testes will come to the epididymis to form vasa efferentia. Okay, and what about in the female? In the female, they will form the epiphoron and paraophoron. Do you remember these terminologies, epiphoron and paraophoron? Yes or no? Yes, girls? Anyone remember this terminology from your life cycle? No? Okay. So just if they ask you what are the remnants of the mesonephric tubules in female, you should know it is epiphoron and paraophoron. But in male, it will not degenerate completely. It will give rise to vasa efferentia. Okay. Now, what about the duct? So here
Okay.
we have already, yes. Okay, so here we have this. The what we were talking about these tubules. Now we are talking about this duct. Okay, so this duct also will give rise to some of the structures. So we can see what structures will be formed here. This one. Okay, this is called as ureteric bud. Okay, what is this? This is ureteric bud. Then what else it will form? This structure. This is the trigone of urinary bladder. Then the upper half of the urethra. Okay, then in the female, you will find the Gardner's duct. Then it will form this structure that is called as epididymis, and also the ductus deferens. Okay, then seminal vesicle and ejaculatory duct. Okay, so mesonephric duct will give rise to both part of the uro and genital system. Okay, so you can see it is mostly important in the male because it is forming like epididymis, ductus deferens, seminal vesicle, ejaculatory duct, which is the part of male reproductive system. Okay, now we have the metanephros, the third stage. So third stage, the metanephros. So it will, the ureteric bud will grow, okay, and form the ureter, and its upper part will dilate, okay, like this. Here you can see with the this one. The upper part will dilate. This, you can see it is dilated, and it will form the renal pelvis, which will divide into major calyces, and repeated division will form the minor calyces and collecting tubules. Okay, I believe you remember the structure. This, do you remember this structure? Maybe you have studied in the kidneys that we have the minor calyces. They all will join to form the major calyces, and the major calyces finally will open into the dilated part of the ureter, that is called as pelvis, and then you have ureter. Okay, so how it is formed? So you can see that the ureteric bud, it will grow, okay, and its upper part will dilate and it will form the renal pelvis, again division major calyces, some more repeated division minor calyces, and collecting tubules. So where the mesonephros will appear? The metanephros will appear obviously in the lower region, in the sacral region. These are also the group of cells. Okay, so what happened to this? This also, the metanephric tubules will have the lateral end and medial end. Okay, so here you can see this, the this lateral end will be invaginated by the capillaries to form the glomerulus. Do you remember this structure, glomerulus, which is invaginated by the blood vessels? Okay, and this end, it is connected with each other to form the collecting tubules. So here you can see, yeah, this one. This is glomerulus, and it is invaginated by the small capillaries. It's now clear about this. So you have to remember three stages: pronephros, mesonephros, and metanephros. So what I told you about the pronephros, that it is this type of kidney, it is present in the fish. Okay, and it will appear in the cervical region. Then what we studied about the metanephros, that metanephros will appear into the thoracic and upper lumbar region. And also this structure, some of the tubules will disappear, but some of the tubules will be remaining. And in male, it will form the vasa efferentia. In females, it will form the para and epiophoron. Okay, but what about the mesonephric duct? So don't forget that it is not contributing in the whole part of the kidney, but yes, it has some roles. So it will form these structures: ureteric bud, trigone, urethra, okay, Gardner's cyst, epididymis. Then we have the permanent metanephric kidney, or the metanephric part, which will form the tubules, the collecting tubules, and also the glomerulus, which is very important part in the filtration of the kidney, or which is the functional part. Then ascent of the kidney. What happens during development? As we saw that it is developing from the cervical to the sacral region. So the kidney will ascend upward. Okay, you don't want it to be in the sacral region. Okay, what is the normal anatomical position of the kidney? Is it present in the pelvic region? No, it is present in the abdomen. But when we study the metanephros, we find it is in the sacral region. So it has to ascend upward. Okay, why it will ascend upward? Because of the differential growth of the body wall and straightening of the body curvature. Because we know when the baby is developing, it is like almost curve. So as soon as the baby will start becoming the straightened, this kidney will go up from the sacral region. What is the blood supply? So we know it is developing in different stages in different positions. So at first it will receive the blood supply from the median sacral artery, then from the common iliac artery, and then from the abdominal aorta. Okay. So have you studied the abdominal aorta and its branches, or yes or no? Maybe in the posterior abdominal wall you will see this. So here you have the median sacral artery, common iliac artery, and then finally the renal arteries. It will arise from the abdominal aorta. Then there will be little bit rotation of the kidney, because when you see in the beginning the hilum will be directed in front, then the kidney will rotate medially about 90 degrees. So the hilum will become medially. So here you can see this is in front, and after rotation it has become medial structure. So in the fetus, okay, the kidney is lobulated, because we have seen that kidney has two different sources of development. It's collecting tubules and the excretory and nephrogenic part. They will develop from two different sources. So that time the kidney will be lobulated. Okay, once the growth is complete, okay, once the everything, all the growth is complete, just before the birth, it will become smooth. Okay, this is one of the, if the after birth also it is lobulated, this is one of the congenital anomaly. So unilateral agenesis, so someone will have the only one kidney. So in one side mesonephric duct, ureteric bud will not be development, so will not develop. So it will just only one-sided ureteric bud and metanephric cap will be present. So it will form only one kidney. It will not cause any symptom. It may go unnoticed, and the person may live without any complication. There could be a cause of the there could be bilateral agenesis also, but you can imagine bilateral agenesis of the kidney, it is not compatible with the life. Okay, maybe in the uterus the baby or the fetus will survive, because it is dependent on the mother's blood and everything, but after the birth the survivor is not possible. Okay, so there will be failure of development of the ureteric bud and metanephric cap at both the sides. Both the kidneys will be absent, and if you will do ultrasound before to the pregnant mother, you will find that there is oligohydramnios. Then there may be some supernumerary kidney, means the extra kidney. So maybe there is the development of ureteric bud or branching of the ureteric bud, which may cause formation of the some more kidneys. So this extra kidney will be smaller in size and caudal, and this is also a rare condition. The pelvic kidney, so you can imagine if this kidney has not ascent, because the ascent of the kidney is very important in its development, but it has not ascent. Okay, and it is again present close to the common iliac artery, and its hilum is directed anteriorly. Polycystic kidney, as just now I told you, presence of the lobulation due to the failure of fusion of the nephrons and the collecting tubules. Okay, so it will develop from two structures and finally it will fuse. Okay, just before the birth it will fuse, but if it has not done, there is failure of the fusion. So what will happen? There will be formation of the cyst. It is called as polycystic kidney. So diffuse bilateral progressive cystic deformity of the kidney, and finally it may lead to the renal failure. Horseshoe kidney. So what will happen? The two metanephros, Okay, or two metanephric cap, they will fuse with each other. Okay, so at the lower pole of the kidney, you can see this is one kidney and this is right, this is left, and they both have fused at the lower pole. Okay, and they have one isthmus by which it is connected with each other. The ureters will be anteriorly because there is no medial rotation as well, and they will be present at the lower level. So why it is at the lower level? So you can see here the presence of the inferior mesenteric artery will not allow it to ascend up. Okay, the presence of inferior mesenteric artery will not allow it to ascend up. It is present in the lower region. Then one of the another structure or one of the another anomaly is the duplication of the ureter. So you can see here the premature division of the ureteric bud. We have seen that the ureteric bud will have division only in the upper part, which will form the major and minor calyces. But if there is a premature division, it may lead to like this, the presence of double pelvis. You can see here the presence of two ureter, bifid ureter, okay, which is well connected in the lower part. But double ureter, you can see this is completely different from each other, okay, and their opening into the urinary bladder is also at different level. Then you have the condition which is called as ectopic ureteric orifice. Development of two ureteric bud, one is normal and other will move with the mesonephric duct. So what will happen? There will be ectopic orifice. Okay, in male urinary bladder, urethra or ejaculatory duct, in female urinary bladder or vagina. Okay, so this ectopic orifice, where it will open? So maybe in the urinary bladder, urethra, or in the ejaculatory duct. But in female, it may open into the urethra or vagina also. Okay, so here you can see this is the extra opening like this. But so here it is opening into urinary bladder itself. But the another may open into urethra also or in seminal vesicle also. Now this is cloaca. So the cloaca we have discussed very nicely in the development of GIT. So here we can see this is the developing hindgut. Okay, its lower part will dilate to form the cloaca. This one. Okay, then finally the cloaca also will divide into two structures, anorectal canal and primitive urogenital sinus. The primitive urogenital sinus will give rise to vesico-urethral canal and definitive urogenital sinus. Okay, so this vesico-urethral canal name itself suggests, okay, just if you see carefully, vesico means what? Urinary bladder. Urethral means the urethra. So it will give rise to the primitive part of the urethra, like upper part of the prostatic urethra in male, but in female, the whole of the urethra. Then what about the definitive urogenital sinus? So it will form the pelvic part, means the lower part of the prostatic urethra and membranous urethra. The phallic part means the spongy penile urethra. Okay, so you can see the female urethra will finish here. It will be in the only developed from the vesico-urethral canal, but definitive urogenital sinus will give the remaining part in males. So this is the partitioning. You can find that now our mesonephric duct has come. So this mesonephric duct will give rise to what? It will give rise to our ureteric bud, and also it will form the trigone of the urinary bladder. Here you can see nicely. This is the mesonephric duct. It will form the ureteric bud, and also this is the developing urinary bladder. It will form the trigone of the. Do you know what is the trigone of the urinary bladder? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if we ask you mention the development of the urinary bladder, so you have to mention two things about the trigone and about the remaining structure. So you can say that trigone will develop from the mesonephric duct. Okay. And the urinary bladder, it will develop from the vesico-urethral part of the cloaca. Okay. And then you can see here, this is the pelvic part and this is the phallic part. This is the definitive urogenital sinus. Now, what about the urinary bladder? So here you can see this is the important thing, that the epithelium of urinary bladder, okay, it will be endodermal in origin from the cranial part of vesico-urethral canal. Then epithelium of the trigone, it is mesodermal in origin. Just now I told you it is absorbed mesonephric duct. Okay. The muscles and serous wall, it will develop from the splanchnopleuric mesoderm. Okay. And the allantois, it will be atrophied to form the urachus, which is median umbilical ligament. So maybe when you study the urinary bladder, you will find that its apex will be attached to the umbilicus through the what? Through the median umbilical ligament. Okay, which is the remnant of the urachus, or you can say allantois. So, what changes will happen in the position of the urinary bladder? So, we studied that in infants and children, the urinary bladder is the abdominal organ because the pelvic cavity is not fully developed. But at the 6th year, it will enter into the false pelvis. But after the puberty, and the pelvis and all other genital organs are completely grown up, the urinary bladder will enter into the through pelvis. What could be the conditions or congenital anomalies of the urinary bladder? So you will see that a condition which is called as ectopia vesicae or extrophy of the bladder. Here you can see that abdomen is open, that the urinary bladder is open to the abdomen. There is no anterior abdominal wall. Okay. So if there is absence of anterior abdominal wall below the umbilicus, okay, so it will be leading to ectopia. Ectopia means outside. Okay, so you can see it is outside. So there will be no anterior abdominal wall below the umbilicus. The trigone of the urinary bladder also will be exposed. And here you can see that there is the pelvic bones are divided. Okay, they are not fused with each other. Penis is also divided into two parts with wide separation between the two parts of the, here you can see. Okay, and it is associated with the condition which is called as epispadias. So you should know this is terminology. Then anomalies of the urachus. So just now I told you that this part, okay, if you are not able to understand, just I can tell you this one, this orange part. Okay, so here you can see this allantois will be absorbed completely into the developing urinary bladder, and only a thread-like structure like this will be remaining, which is called as urachus. Okay, which is called as urachus, and the urachus will be attached where to where? It will be attached from umbilicus, like from anterior abdominal wall to the apex of the urinary bladder. Okay, so now you can imagine if this is not disappear completely, it has not become a cord like structure, what it will lead to? It may be present like this, like open. Okay, so this is the persistence of urachus. So there will be fissura. You can imagine if this is not like a thread, so there will be a opening or there will be fissura from urinary bladder to umbilicus. Okay, And sometimes only there will be urachal cyst. Okay, so only the middle part is persistent, not the whole. Okay, so it will not be causing any problem unless and until it is infected. And sometimes you will see the middle part is disappeared, but here the distal part is persistent and it will form a opening into the umbilicus, which will be as the sinus. It is called as urachal sinus. Now, what is hypospadias? So you can see that there is no canalization, or there is no proper canalization, or there is a failure of canalization of the glandular part. Okay, because this canalization is very important. If you remember in GIT also, we saw if this canalization will not happen, it may lead to stenosis and atresia. Okay, so you can see here there are many conditions. The urethra is opening in at many different positions. Okay, so here you have the glandular hypospadiasis, penile hypospadiasis, penoscrotal or perineal. Okay, so here the last one. Okay, this is, you can see this is opening into the perineal region. It has not reached the penis at all. Okay, and here you can see that it is going to the scrotal. Okay, towards the scrotum. Okay, and here you can see that it has reached to the last part, but it is penile. And you can see this is called as glandular. There are 4 stages for the hypospadiasis. So here you can see that opening is not at the tip of the glans penis, it is at the different level. What is epispadiasis? So in this, the urethra will open into the cranial aspect of the penis. Okay, so the urethra will open into the dorsum of the penis, and usually it is associated with the ectopia vesicae. Okay, so there are 2 terms, epispadiasis and hypospadiasis. Okay, so here you will find that the urethra will open on the under surface. Okay, here under surface down. But what is the epispadiasis? It will be opening on the cranial aspect. Okay, so just remember these 2 terminology and how they are different. That epispadiasis opening over the cranial part, okay, and hypospadiasis over the undersurface. Okay, so this is all about the development. So bus you have to remember the new names and development of the urinary bladder and the development of the kidney and its different resource. Okay, any questions? Okay, so inshallah, I will have practical with you tomorrow, inshallah. So anything you can ask there, and I will also try to explain the difficult part.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I will finish here. Take care.